Welcome back to Wager Talk TV, your home for sports betting content 7 days a week. My name is Andrew McGinnis, joined by mid-major Matt Josephs, Dave Koken, Marco D'Angelo. This is First Pitch, 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday to Friday, I believe, 12 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays and Sundays. Matt, you can correct me on that. I believe that is right. You guys killed it on the weekends. The weekend shows are going great. How was the weekend for you overall?
Yeah, weekend was good. We had over near 350 people in there, and we always appreciate the following on the weekend, and that's why we do it on the weekends. Unfortunately, yesterday, 1-2 day, Justice Sheffield saved me with how good he pitched in that 5 innings in that Colorado-Seattle game, but disappointment in the Houston-Oakland game and disappointment elsewhere. So 1-2, 20-13 on the season.
Dave, you mentioned you're trying to break some records here with consecutive days on a show. How are things with you right now? How are you doing?
Oh, yesterday was horrible. It's been so you almost get conditioned to winning every day because that's the way it's been. And went 0-3 yesterday, so got to try and get things back in gear today. And they weren't even close. It wasn't one of those. There wasn't one game where I said, "Geez, I got unlucky there. I just had the wrong side in all 3 games." So we'll try and go the 1-game route today. Got one best bet up right now at Wager Talk, $9. It's $9 Monday. So you'll get my only play on the card for $9 at Wager Talk.
It is $9 Monday at both Wager Talk and Sports Memo. I'll bring in Marco D'Angelo. How are we doing, Marco?
Doing good, Andrew. We had a nice run going. Full disclosure, we didn't do well on Saturday, an 0-3 day on Saturday. Bounced back with a winner yesterday, and I've been putting out free play videos. Guys can check out. We tweet them out every day. And we've gone 6-2 with those free play videos. And I break the games down just like we do right here on the show. I do that with one play each day. And so it's not only a free play, but I like to say it's like a little handicapping lesson so you guys can go inside my mind, which can be a very scary place to go sometimes.
I've been noticing you've been doing those, Marco. What time can people expect those to be out on a daily basis?
I try to have those out between 2 and 3 o'clock Eastern time each day. But of course, the days that we're jumping on shows or doing my horse show tends to be a little bit after that.
And I know you do numerous sports, not just the Major League Baseball, but is there any one package that you want every one of our viewers to be on for $9 Monday at wagertalk.com?
Yeah, I put up an NBA play that I like a lot, and the NBA's been running real well for us. 10-4 with the last 14 plays. We've been selective in the bubble, but it's worked out very well. And do have a play I like tonight, and it's one of the better games on the card.
Matt, we'll go to you. I know you've been doing very, very well with the MLB. I'm not sure how much you've been tampering with the other sports, but as far as the Major League Baseball go, what can we grab from you over at Sports Memo?
Well, much like Dave, I cut back to one play today. It's a $9 play on Sports Memo, and then I got a free play up as well. I haven't done a free play the past couple of days, so we put one up there. Scaling back a little bit after a couple of days with 3 with just 1 today.
And Dave, just the one package up for you right now, Wager Talk?
That's the only game I'll have today because I don't do NBA, and I did not like anything on the Tuesday KBO slate, so I've got one big league baseball play. I'll have some other opinions that I'll talk about on the show, but I only bet one game, and I don't sell anything. I don't bet myself.
For myself personally, I have my first 5% wager in the NBA since the bubble. Since the NBA restarted, I've been very low volume with it, riding a 5-1 run here in the NBA, and it's actually involved in the Miami Heat taking on the Indiana Pacers game, a game that seems to have a lot of action, a lot of attention, and I think the line is completely off, and also a 4% MLB side, so just the 2 strong plays for me, one in the MLB, one in the NBA. We're going to start things off with the Twins taking on the Brewers here. I'm going to go to you here first, Dave, with this matchup, and a pretty close to pick and price here in this one.
Yeah, good pitching matchup, too, because Dobnak has been really good so far for the Twins, and Hauser has been really good for the Brewers. Both pitchers, some similarities. They're both getting a lot of ground balls. And, you get soft contact like that, it results in outs. You don't have to whiff everybody to be effective. So this looks like a game that could be low scoring early on, at least. The Twins did not hit much over the weekend in Kansas City. They've been crushing everything in sight, but ran into a bit of a pothole against the Royals. They got me yesterday. Barrios was not good in that game, and the Twins just didn't hit. They go into Milwaukee, though, and obviously the losing streak is not a plus for the Twins, but I don't think they're going to be a team that's prone to extended losing streaks. They're just too good offensively. The Brewers continue to be kind of a ragged team. They look like they're just going to be a 500 club. I would give the Twins an edge here.
Matt, I know you've been doing quite a few of the first 5 innings totals and both, I believe, overs and unders. How do you feel about this first 5 under here in the spot?
Well, that's my free play over on sportsmemo.com is the first 5 under here. I think that Hauser's in good form right now. And look, I'm very worried about, Minnesota's offense waking up after the series in Kansas City. But I also think Dobnak can do his part. And it was the crucial number. We talked yesterday about 3.5s, 4s. Well, it's 4.5. So that kind of makes a little bit of a difference here. And that's why that was my free play. And you can read more over on sportsmemo.com.
And I promise you, and to you, Matt, and all our viewers, that wasn't even a segue. I honestly didn't even know that you had that free play up there. That just happened to work out that way. What about you, Marco? Any leans here? Any play from you, side or total?
Yeah, I agree with Dave here. I lean to Minnesota in this one. And yes, they're on a losing streak, but Minnesota, going back to the start of last year, this is a team that hasn't had extended losing streaks. In fact, following a loss, they're 46-24. And another thing that I like about Minnesota, disappointing you lose to Kansas City. That's embarrassing. So I know that you're going to get a big effort out of them. They're going to be focused here because they are stepping up in class in theory against Milwaukee. And if you look, again, going back to the start of last year, Minnesota, when they've been on the road in competitively priced games, and by that, I mean minus 125 to plus 125. This is a team that's excelled 19-9 in that category. So playing on the road and playing against good teams with competitive lines, that's pretty impressive. I look for them to bounce back tonight.
One thing the Twins are going to have to consider, though, and that's getting Miguel Sano out of the lineup. The guy's a train wreck. I mean, he's 5 for 45, I believe. 3 of them are home runs, but that's the problem. If he hits the ball, it goes a long way, but he doesn't hit the ball at all. He strikes out at a ridiculous rate. He's not good defensively. I just think Sano's a bench guy at this point. If you've got the Twins, you've got enough firepower. You don't need Sano in the lineup. Put your best defensive team in the field, and that would not include him.
Matt, I've asked you a couple different fantasy questions and prop betting stuff. We got someone here, Matthew, saying can either starter in Min or Milwaukee hit 4 or more strikeouts?
Well, I mean, I'm guessing Hauser's more likely than Dobnak. Dobnak only has 8 strikeouts in 15 innings. He's more of a ground ball pitcher, so I don't think – I would say if you're going to take anybody, it would probably be Hauser, but I think the Twins are a little bit – they are a bit of an all-or-nothing offense, so I would lean to Hauser more than Dobnak in that one.
We've got Jordan, Matthew, Alex, Robert, Brian Watson, so many loyal viewers, like you mentioned off the top here, Matt, checking out First Pitch. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch, and we'll get more and more networks that we'll be live on in the future. We're going to try and grow this show 7 days a week right here on Wager Talk TV. Diamondbacks at the Rockies. Rockies minus 140 favorites here. Marco, I'll go to you here. What do you think, first of all, about this number and this matchup overall?
Yeah, you look at it, again, we keep saying it, Colorado's been the surprise of the season to me so far and what they've been doing. Arizona comes in here. I can't fault Arizona as well, but, man, if you want to take Arizona with Robbie Ray, the way he's pitching right now, you've got to hold your nose when you go to the window to bet this team. But I don't want to take Colorado. For me, it's Arizona or pass. If you are playing totals, and this is something that surprised me on Robbie Ray, as bad as he's been at times, that through his career, when he's been a road underdog of 150 or less, that's happened 43 times. His games have gone under in 30 of those 43 games. But again, the current form for him right now, do you want to look at history and trends, or do you want to look at current form? And it's a big opposite end of the spectrum there. So for me, slight lean to Arizona, but I don't see myself getting involved in this one.
Dave, what are your thoughts on Ray?
He's getting worse. He's got swing and miss stuff, but his command is terrible. And contact this season, when it's made, ball's going a long way. He's really struggling. He's a big part of the reason the Diamondbacks are foundering. The other big part of the reason is the fact that they can't hit in the first 5 innings of basically any game. I keep mentioning this. They're the worst first 5 team in baseball. so far, and they got destroyed again yesterday. And I was on them, which tells you how stupid I am. I won't get on them here. A curious thing with the line in this game, it says minus 140 up there, but that's the ceiling on this game. It's mostly actually come down to minus 130. This looks like a sharps versus squares game for those who follow that stuff. That is not something I use in my handicapping. It's just something I find interesting. But the sharp money is showing on Arizona in this game. Public is firmly behind the Rockies for obvious good reasons. They're playing great baseball, even though they lost yesterday. And the Diamondbacks, well, they're simply not. So it's and Ray has been horrible. So it's very easy to see why the public money is on the Rockies here. I think, based on my numbers, the line's a little bit high, but my numbers might not be right on the Diamondbacks because they are one of the disappointing teams in baseball so far this season, and the primary culprit has been an offense that just cannot get going early in games. Same thing yesterday. They scored some runs, but they were all late, and they were after the game had been settled.
Well, I'm in the same boat as you as far as, following where the money goes. I'm not going to let it impact my wager. However, I do find it interesting to follow that and check it out. And let's all remember, the public wins sometimes. They're not going to be completely wrong every single time. And with this Rockies team, they've made some money off them, and I've actually also been cashing in with this Rockies team. The question is now, Matt Josephs, do we keep backing this team the higher these prices get?
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. The higher it gets, I mean, I had faith in them to when they're in this range. But the couple things to consider here is Colorado's actually scored 15 runs in the first 5 innings the last 8 games. I gave the stat yesterday, and the first 5 innings that they had against Seattle, they scored 0. So they're another team that you lean to in the first 5. The first 5 under is hit in every game in Coors Field so far. The other thing I found was Robbie Ray has pitched in Coors Field 8 times. He's got a 4.23 ERA. He's allowed 1 home run there, and that was back in 2016. So we know how good his stuff is. Arenado smacks him around. Blackman smacks him around. I'll never back Robbie Ray again until he figures things out, as we've talked about. I want him to figure things out before I guess when he figures things out. So it's either Rockies or nothing for me.
Next game up for us, Padres Dodgers here. This is a Dodgers team where it's just I'm finding it hard to look for spots to fade them, guys. But honestly, when I continue to see prices like this, and I haven't really missed with one yet, I'm looking towards the team total. And I just don't think you can argue with it with the fact that the depth that this lineup has. I'm not sure who it might have been. I don't know if it was somebody on the show said that Mookie Betts is the best player in the game. I can't remember who's that, Dave. Remember who's?
No, I don't remember. I think he meant National League, by the way.
Yeah, National League. It must have been. But I'll go to you here first, Matt, with this one. Padres Dodgers. Obviously, we're seeing a huge price with the Dodgers. I think most people, if they're going to look for the Dodgers, they'd probably look on the run line here.
It was Hunter.
Hunter. But we'll dive into the pitching matchups first, and I want to get your thoughts on May because I've been real impressed with him so far, Matt.
Yeah, May's got electric stuff. The bigger thing is that it's not Richards now; it's Perdomo going. He's only going to be a bullpen guy. He's only gone 5 innings total in 3 games, so you're going to get a whole Padres bullpen, which hasn't been very good this year. May was really good. I think May has some of the most electric stuff. I mean, you see what this kid can do with that fastball running in and out and everywhere. The thing I'm always worried about, and I know this is probably just me, is he's seen them the second straight time. So you would hope that the Padres make some sort of adjustments. I like May's stuff, but I want to see when a kid that is so young, how he does the second time through with these guys, because they're going to make changes, you would hope.
Yeah, I agree with that. On the topic of that, Dave, he talks about how seeing someone for the second time, and I believe that's something that you've used not only in baseball, but other sports. I've heard you mention it. So what exactly are they looking for in that scouting report from the first time they've seen him?
It's not so much the scouting report, because they had the scouting report to begin with. It's actually seeing him live.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, and good hitters can make adjustments. I put this game as one of the featured games to talk about today, thinking the matchup was going to be Richards versus May, but of course the pitching change, and therefore a much bigger line than we would have had. So it's not really one of the highlight games, so to speak. It is tough to make a case for the Padres here. I think the line is actually maybe even a little bit short. I made it like 225 with Perdomo going for the Padres. The Dodgers just too much offense against a bullpen that's very suspect, and they're going to see a lot of bullpen tonight. Perdomo and probably 3 or 4 other pitchers for San Diego as they just try and get through this game. It looks like the Dodgers should be able to win this game, and maybe comfortably. So this might be one of those games where you take a shot with the alternate run line minus 2.5 or something, and see if you can get lucky. Not going to be a play for me. The Padres are still scary enough with their offense so that they might be able to do some damage here against May, looking at it for the second time. And Tatis is just rolling right now for the Padres. And as he goes, I think the Padres are going to go.
Well, Marco, you look at this number here, like I said, minus 200. It's displayed on the screen. If you want to back this Dodgers team in the first 5 innings on that first 5-inning run line, which is just minus a half run, you can get that around minus 130, 135. That's quite the difference. And looking at this pitching matchup, that's where my money would go if I was to go to the window with this game. First of all, what are your thoughts on that and overall in this game?
Well, I can't disagree with that, Andrew. And like Dave said, I was looking for this game to be Richards, and I was actually going to take a shot at Richards with a price here simply because Padres getting to see May in back-to-back starts. I never like a pitcher when he faces the same team in back-to-back starts. You know, we don't like it whenever they start facing guys the second and third time during the season, and there's gaps between there, maybe months at a time. But when you put them back-to-back, it's a big advantage for the hitters. Now, this is baseball in 2020 right now. Mm-hmm. This morning, I'm sitting in front of my screen, and I'm watching the board light up on this Dodger game, offshore first. And the game is just running away. And I'm like, okay, what the heck's going on here? Why is this line flying the way it is? And I hadn't gotten the pitcher change yet. But yet here in Vegas, everybody was still behind a few minutes on the change. And then lo and behold, you start seeing the screen run there. And then everybody sees the pitching change. And, you know, you got to be in front of the screen and know what's going on, because there was a minute there this morning. You could have got some profit locked in before this game was a runaway because of the pitching change. And, you know, technology's great, but, man, you got to be on top of it. And unfortunately, all the technology we have, and this is what I always love about why I like doing, you know, just to go sidetrack in handicapping style sometimes, why I like situational stuff, because when it comes to data, as far as stats and information, everybody's getting the same stuff on that aspect now. Twitter's great for us to learn things from the beat writers. We get that information quicker. But you know what? There's guys sitting in the sports book that's watching those same Twitter feeds and picking everything up just as we are. And it's a chess game trying to get to that window and finding those edges quicker.
Actually, they do get it quicker because Major League Baseball is now sharing, you know, all the sports are sharing their information with a specific book. And once that book gets the information, it gets out to everybody. So you're not really getting ahead of anybody when you get information.
Big difference, Dave, from the old days of going to the airport and picking up newspapers from out of town, huh? How archaic does that seem now?
I used to have, my store was on Paradise near Flamingo, the International Newsstand or something like that, and they had newspapers from every place, and you'd see sports bettors galore buying papers from different cities around the country, especially when it came to college football and college basketball, because that information was really hard to find. And you could get some real good stuff that it wasn't public information and capitalize on it. But those days are long gone.
What are
that sounds more and more like not what you know, but who you know, guys?
What did you say, Matt?
I said, what are newspapers? I mean, I just
yeah, really.
Internet thing.
Yeah.
You guys are both too young, Andrew and Matt, but Dave could tell you, and it was like the best scene ever when Computer Sports World first came out with their ticker and the information and stuff that they were displaying. The Stardust here in Las Vegas, they had a room right to the, I think it was to the right of or the left of the sports book, Dave, that little room you went in.
Yep.
And they would rip the stuff off the ticker and post it on the walls, and guys would be crawling over one another to read over their shoulders to try to read that information off the board. That's how information was back when we were young pups.
Well, Marco, you're a situational guy like me, and I love the fact that now, to Dave's point, there's not much of an edge. You could know a good follow on Twitter. You could have connections maybe with a beat writer, but I like it better when we all have the same information, and it's like, all right,
God, I don't.
You choose.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's like you tell me.
Let me tell you something. I used to get stuff in college basketball that nobody knew about. Nobody. Because let's just say I had I played poker with the head basketball coach at Brown. Okay? Jerry Alamo. You don't think I got information that other people didn't get? He knew it. And I didn't tell anybody about it. Let's put it that way. A story I've told many times about a horse that I got information on one time. You don't tell anybody about that stuff.
No, to my point, that's more just the competitive nature in me, Dave. I have a few connections around the National Hockey League, and I love to use those. I'm going to message them all day, every day if I have a question about their team. My point being is if we all knew who was starting in the MLB, it's every handicapper for themselves to find out, who's going to be the best, who's going to pick the game right, not who has the better information.
Yeah, but I don't care about other handicappers. I never have. It's like when people ask me, "What do you think of this guy?" Fuck if I know. I don't. You think I don't follow other people's records. I'm only concerned with my own. The object isn't to beat other handicappers. It's to beat the house. This isn't pari-mutuel betting. Pari-mutuel betting, you're betting against other bettors. Okay, this isn't the same thing. If they ever go pari-mutuel in sports, then I'll take a different attitude. But no, I've still got little pockets of information on some West Coast college basketball that when I get something, I don't tell anybody about it.
No, I want to make it clear. I'm not saying anything bad about the research aspect. Marco's saying going to the airport, getting the newspapers, all that stuff. That's effort. That's effort, right? That's different than some guy just having a connection and nobody else in the world having that.
Yeah, effort, and was necessary. When I was booking back in the 70s, back in New England, getting West Coast scores was it was not easy, and getting as much. I used to drive down to the Providence Journal building at like 3 a.m. on weekends, so I could get the newspapers before it was delivered anyplace. So I needed the scores and stuff like that. It was the complete dark ages.
Wait, you didn't have the beeper there, Dave? You didn't have the score beeper that was prevalent back then?
No, that's before that.
I'll say the same thing I've said before, Dave.
There weren't even score phones back then.
How big were the dinosaurs? How big were they? I'm curious.
The pterodactyls could fly,
Too bad they couldn't fly you to the West Coast.
But could they hit a baseball?
There were pros and cons, okay? I mean, the biggest pro of all was the fact that you could get, especially in college basketball, you could get wildly different lines and have middles out there, night after night, where you'd be getting +3 or -3 on one team and +6 on the other team in the same game. And if you don't think that got you paid, whew.
This is our first pitch right here on Wager Talk TV. We are very, very close to 50,000 subscribers. I want this to be the week that we reach it, guys. If you're tuning into the show for the very first time, or you're tuning in for the 4th, 5th, or 6th time, but you have not hit that subscription button, do us a favor, subscribe to this channel, and hit the like button, and follow all of our other videos. We have an NBA tip-off show directly following this one. Every single Monday, you can find Drew Martin, Teddy Covers, going over every game on the board in the NBA. We have the hockey show with Dave, Carmine, Prez, Buster, and myself. Just so much content going on every single day. Of course, we have Marco's Pony Pundit Show. So much action, so much content. Hit the subscribe button on this channel. But guys, before we move on,
listen, we're more content as well. We couldn't get it up today, but I had a video. I have a video of a seagull, and it's just awesome. I wish we could. We couldn't figure out how to play the damn thing. It's like 10 seconds, but we're going to get some of that content on here as well. And this to me is really important information.
It's always good to bring a smile every single day. And
if you follow me on Twitter, I've got it posted there. I'll retweet it again. It's just absolutely hilarious. It's a video of a seagull, a shoplifting seagull, and it's pretty funny.
Guys, before we move on to our quick hit segment, I want to elaborate a little bit on the pitching here. Perdomo, that's how you pronounce it, Matt?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because obviously we've touched on the fact that he's in and not Richards. You talked about how bullpen moving to the start. What do you think about that? Automatically for me, I see him not lasting too long, and that's why I look towards the first 5 innings run line.
Well, I mean, he's only gone 5 innings total, and I'm pulling up now to see how many total pitches. He's gone 26, 23, and 18, so you're not going to see much. I mean, he's had, he had 2 shutout innings in Coors on Saturday. Or Saturday the 1st, so he actually hasn't even pitched for 9 days, too. So I can only see 3 max from him. I mean, if you want to lay that -0.5 with the Dodgers, that's probably your best chance to get any sort of piece of this thing. But if they start slow, and who knows, I'm going to stay away from this game.
One thing I wanted to mention before I forget on this show, for all of us here viewing this and in the comment section, whether you're on Twitch, Periscope, or YouTube, we pick 3 games every single day to go over and go really, really hard into and dive in. But I want you guys to pick one. So the consensus play or consensus game for the following day that you guys come up with in the comment section, not in the live chat, in the comment section, we'll touch on for you guys. The quick hit segment's gotten a lot quicker, gotten a lot faster. We're just running through these games. You guys comment for us, not on the live chat, but in the comment section. Let us know what you're interested in hearing us talk about the next day. It might even be a hot topic in the MLB. Try and keep it somewhat betting related, and we'll try and touch on that for you. I think I speak for the rest of the crew that you guys are driving this show, and we appreciate all of your viewership. And speaking of viewership, we'll get right back into the actual betting aspect of this show. We'll go with Atlanta here, taking on Philadelphia. I'll start with you here, Matt, with this one.
Well, lineups came out for both sides. The Braves look like the stars are in tonight, and Phil Gosselin, Barrels as he's called in Philadelphia, leading off and playing DH for the Phillies, so no McCutchen in the lineup. Hoskins is still number 2. I saw a stat. He has actually seen the most strikes looking this season in Major League Baseball. He does not belong in the number 2 spot. He's walking, which is great, but his slugging percentage is terrible. I'm not ready to back Newcomb yet. He was quote-unquote better his last time out. Nola looked really good against the Yankees. He got a lot of swings and misses, but can you count on him for 2 straight? And plus that Phillies bullpen is abysmal. I'd consider the Braves first 5 here. I'd consider it, but I'm not ready to back Newcomb. I want to see more from him.
Marco, I saw a post on Facebook from our man JD, Johnny Detroit, about his Detroit Tigers. Not doing too bad since he made that future ticket. I'll tell you what, I'm not feeling them tonight. I love this pitching matchup here. Fulmer hasn't looked great. I like Keuchel. Some people don't love him maybe as much as I do. And this price has certainly gone up. I like the White Sox here nonetheless. What about yourself?
Well, I'll tell you, if it was anybody other than Fulmer going, I would take a flyer with the Tigers tonight. This is a bad situation for the Chicago White Sox. If you want to play this purely on situation, they played the Indians last night on ESPN. Night game, then traveling. That's not been a real good situation for teams in the past. And now, again, this year where we've got no days off, basically, it's even more of a problem. So I don't like the White Sox in the situation they are in tonight. But, man, when you look at Michael Fulmer, my God, is this guy – he is bad. You can't touch him. So, for me, it's a pass.
What is it, a 13 ERA, Marco?
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, he's not getting strikeouts. He's not he's not fooling anybody with anything. So no Tigers for me tonight. But I can't back the White Sox either.
That's honestly my favorite baseball expression. He's not fooling anybody because that's all he can really try and do.
Or he's a human pinata. I like to throw that one out a lot too.
I bet. The Tigers are smashing lefties, so we'll see what they can do with Keuchel. Look, they're feeling good about themselves right now. I don't want Fulmer, though, so he might get some runs in this game. I know the White Sox – go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Fulmer's only pitched once. I mean, he hasn't pitched since that July 27th. Plus, he's getting piggybacked by Daniel Norris. So,
right.
I don't like him either.
No, this is not exactly the strength that – well, the Tigers' pitching is not going to be great. Let's face it. Their ace is Matt Boyd, and he's looked horrible so far. So they're going to have to keep hitting to maintain the win percentage that they've got right now, and that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I fully agree with what Marco said as far as if this was anybody else but Fulmer, I'd probably be staying away or at least be taking a little bit harder of a look at it. But the public loved the White Sox early on in the season. There were future tickets looking at them, and a lot of people were heavy on them out the gate. I'm not really someone to consistently bet on just one team. I don't think maybe I can count on, just one hand how many times I've even looked at this White Sox team on the season so far, but I thought this was a spot to bet on them and grab them early in the day Wouldn't really wait too late to jump on this team. But Dave, I'm going to go here with you with the Nationals taking on the Mets.
Yeah, Corbin and Mets, good matchup of lefties. Neither team is exactly pounding lefties so far. I think you might have a pitcher's duel in this game, at least for as long as they're in there. Corbin will probably go fairly deep into the game if he's got good stuff. Mets is more of a 5 or 6 inning guy. And then you have to worry about the Mets bullpen, which is not one of the best around. Made the price 118, so it's pretty much in line with where the number is. If I were doing anything in this game, I would take a shot at the first 5 under and hope that Mets shows up with his good stuff. Corbin, I'm not too worried about.
Hey, Andrew, can we spend for a minute? I would love to get Marco and Dave's opinion on this because this is the same pitching matchup that we just saw in D.C. on the 4th. How do you guys handle the same pitching matchup, the same 2 guys back-to-back, just the second time and you flip locations? I'd love to get your opinion on that.
I don't have a problem with coming back. If a guy dominated the first time and Corbin looks good, okay? Corbin is good. He's still going to – if he's got his good stuff, it really doesn't matter if the Mets have seen him 10 times in a row. If he's got good stuff, he's going to get them out. And it's not like the Mets have been killing the baseball. Mets is much less of a certainty because he's a guy who needs to get his secondary stuff over because his fastball becomes very hittable if he's not working his other pitches well. So there's a lot, that's why Mets is a 3 or a 4. And Corbin, while he's a 3 on the Washington rotation, he's a 1 or a 2 almost any place else.
For me, Matt, both guys obviously disadvantaged seeing the same team in back-to-back starts. So what I would then look at is in that meeting, did one of the 2 get embarrassed starting pitching-wise, or was somebody a tough luck loser 2-1? If you want to try to find, a motivational edge, I'll look at something like that. But I will say this on Corbin. I think he's ready to really throw a stellar performance tonight. 16-1 on strikeout to walk ratio. So he's getting his stuff together. I think more likely I like him, but they're not scoring runs. But I will say this, Dave, you said neither one really hits lefties. It's a short sample size, only 4 games, but Washington at least 3-1 against lefties this year, and they are averaging 5 runs per game versus the lefties, which if you look at their other games, they've been absolutely dismal. 5 runs is like, a power surge for the Washington Nationals this year.
Yeah, actually, I looked at something incorrectly. They actually are hitting lefties. In fact, they're averaging over 7 runs per 9 innings. It's a short sample, obviously, but they are hitting southpaws.
Well, Matt, I actually was on the Nationals in Corbin's last start. Why are we getting this pick on price? Can you explain it to me? Because I think this is, this should be a little bigger of a number.
Well, the Nats offense isn't good. I mean, Soto is there, and then it's everybody around him is not very good. You've got Mats, who obviously didn't look very good the first time these 2 teams met. I had the first 5 under, and the first time back on the 4th, it didn't hit because Mats was terrible. He's given up the long ball, and the problem is how many Nats hitters can take him deep, you think? I mean, Soto's got a good shot, but I just don't like the Nats' form right now.
We're going to go through our next game here. I'll stick with you here, Matt, in this next one. Tampa taking on Boston.
I mean, I'm not, I know Dave likes Yarbrough. I'm not as big of a Yarbrough guy as a lot of other people. He's the only rated starter that's gone 5 innings each start. I mean, I know the Red Sox pitching hasn't been very good, and I know their offense is inconsistent, but I might take a shot with Boston either on the run line or the money line today and just hope, because I think Boston, I think that offense is due to explode, and I just like their lineup right now better than Tampa Bay's.
I'll throw in that I actually like the idea of Brazier starting for Boston. Obviously, it's a bullpen game for the Red Sox, but he can go out there and throw the heat. And situationally, scheduling-wise, not a great spot for Tampa. Coming off a big series with the Yankees and now traveling to Fenway. I would lean to the Red Sox here. It didn't make my card, came close, though.
And
Marco,
throw in Tampa Bay, as Dave said, with the bad situation. Charlie Morton only went 2 innings yesterday, so they had to use they had to use the bullpen for 7 innings of relief yesterday. So that's another disadvantage for Tampa.
You look at this next game here, Marco, Seattle, Texas. I've either faded this Seattle team or I've been involved in overs involving this team. Just can't trust them throughout a full 9 innings here. And evidently, we've seen the number move in that favor. I mean, it's opened up at minus 140. We're seeing around minus 180, 185 at most shops here for the Rangers, Gibson and Dunn. Would this be any type of spot for you to look at it at the dog here, or is it just hard to do with this Mariners club?
It's hard to do with this Mariners club, and if I am ever playing a Seattle wager, it's first 5 innings. There's no way I want to have Seattle and be involved in anything that involves the bullpen. And this is a bullpen, guys, that in 17 games, the bullpen is allowed. The bullpen, not starting pitching, bullpen, 17 home runs. Okay. I just, it's atrocious. And you're not going to get a deep outing from Dunn in this game. So I'm looking at this one. For me, there's only one play. I'm looking at the over. Gibson's a guy that I don't think has dominating stuff. I think he dances through the raindrops, so to speak, too often, gets away with stuff, and eventually that catches up to you. And Seattle can score runs, and they're going to give up runs. So for me, it's over is the only way I can play this game.
Mariners are already minus 38 runs on the season. They're a terrible baseball team. Don't want them. Not willing to lay 180 with the Rangers. So this is a game. If you missed the early number, then you missed it.
Well, speaking of laying anything, Dave, I hate this Astros team for obvious reasons, but I think this Giants team is just bad. They're horrible. They're bad. Not. Yeah, they cannot.
I will say this though, they really battle. I mean, they really do. I mean, I'll give Gabe Kapler credit for that. I think strategically he makes a lot of mistakes, but they're playing hard. Nevertheless, they do stink, and
their schedule is not friendly either.
Well, the schedule, the fact they're playing 60 games against other major league teams makes the schedule not friendly because they're not very good. McCullers, though, I don't have any faith in him right now. I'm not sure he's completely healthy. I still think the Astros win easily, but it was never really a consideration for me. The Astros are kind of a mess right now. That's a team going in the wrong direction right now. I think there's the behind-the-scenes stuff is definitely a factor.
By the way, that McCullers went through the Arizona lineup first time through perfectly, and then when they opened the roof, he apparently went nuts and had that terrible, he was getting tattooed all over the place, gave up those 8 runs. But to blame the roof opening on that, I just think McCullers isn't right now.
Last game on the board for us, I'll start with you here, Matt. We're going to go with the Angels taking on the A's.
I mean, I don't think Manet is right now.
Either way.
Once again, I go to Dave's statistic here. The first time through, .074 hitters are hitting against him. Second time through, 13 for 24. The only positive is he's walked one guy in 12.1 innings, but I'm certainly not bagging Turan. He's got to be a little rusty. He only went 2 2/3 last time. Went with the 2s across the board, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. I'm not backing either pitcher, so it's potentially over or nothing here.
It's one of those games where, boy, it looks easy to take the A's, doesn't it? And those games always worry me. It's just I didn't have a strong opinion on it either way. I think if I had to bet this game, I might take a shot with the Angels. But again, it's definitely not a bet for me, and not really a game I considered very strongly. Really, the 2 games I considered strongly today were the Red Sox, who I didn't play, and the one game that I did play that's up at Wage Talk right now.
Do you feel the same way, Marco? Is it hard to really look at this line and not play the A's?
I'm going to do the old Lee Corso and say, not so fast, my friends. Dave, I'm going to pull out a line. I haven't used it on the show yet, but I've used it many, many times.
Fat and happy.
Fat and sassy.
Fat and sassy, excuse me. Fat and sassy.
It is. We have the fat and sassy alert for the Oakland A's today. They right now are higher than a kite. They've swept Houston. They are on the long winning streak, and I know I've always preached about don't jump in front of a winning streak, but if there was ever a team that was right to come up flat as a pancake, it is the Oakland A's today after sweeping the Houston Astros. How satisfying was that weekend series for them? And they had fun doing it too. I mean, you saw the clip yesterday, egging everybody on. This is a major warning for a flat spot for them. I'm all about taking a flyer with the Angels here. I think they got a shot here, especially you got an Oakland A's, starting pitcher that's not pitched well. I'll take the shot with the price because the A's are overpriced with the winning streak and sweeping the Astros.
The next segment of our show here, DFS Stud and Sleeper. I'm going to go with you here first, Dave. If we're creating our lineups tonight, Who are we looking to add to our lineups, both pitching wise and maybe a few batters as well?
I would say take the cheaper of the two in the Dobnak-Hauser matchup because I think both pitchers have a chance to do pretty well. Maybe Dobnak, I mean, he's been, I know I mentioned him, I think in his first couple of starts or two of his three starts. So if you got a good thing going, you may as well stay with it. And as far as offenses, the team to stack against, I think I think I might take a shot with the Rockies, guys. Why not? I mean, Robbie Ray's just not pitching good ball.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I wouldn't even really call that taking a shot, Dave.
Well, no, I'm talking about some of their less expensive guys.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, not the Arenado, Blackman. Those guys, they're going to cost a fortune. But maybe somebody in the mid-price range. You can look at Trevor Story. I don't know what his price is tonight, but he's facing a lefty, and that might be a good thing. And Story hits at home, that's for sure.
I'm sorry if you guys can hear that noise outside my house right now. I'm not sure if you can hear it or not.
Yes, I can hear it
going by, but it literally has been outside. It seems like for 20 minutes, and it's really pissing me off.
They're probably checking your garbage out thoroughly.
They better not check it. Matt, I'll go to you here. Do you have anything created as far as lineup goes so far?
I mean, I'll definitively say I went with Hauser as my pitcher. I mean, I've 3 straight days I've said Charlie Blackmon. I'll go Charlie Blackmon. And the other all reliable here, I'll go Kyle Lewis. I mean, against Gibson, I know it's not a hitter's ballpark right now, but I'm not a big Gibson guy, so I'll go Kyle Lewis as like my old reliables here.
Andrew, I usually don't give you anything, and I'm not going to actually give you a player, but I'm going to say might want to look at some White Sox players if you can get them at the right price, because we bashed the hell out of Fulmer on this show today. But if Fulmer doesn't go deep, Detroit had a series, and I know they had a low-scoring game yesterday, but they had a high-scoring series in Pittsburgh where the bullpen just got, everybody's bullpen got depleted. This would be a spot where I think you could get some runs with the White Sox lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I would look the exact same way. I think it's it's very underrated how correlated both fantasy and sports betting could be. I'm sure Matt can attest to it. I know you've been doing quite a bit of fantasy stuff for a little while now, Matt. And what would you say you could correlate it the most with? I mean, is it as far as like looking at towards totals or sides or how you would stack it, or which would you say you do first, your fantasy or your sports betting analysis?
Well, I usually go through the card first and then take a look at the DFS, because then I have a better idea. Because as I said, there's two strategies I usually like in DFS. One is cheap pitcher, stacked hitters, where basically, like Dave said, you go through as many Coors guys, both sides as you can, or you go with the ace like DeGrom, and then you have to work harder to find the hitters to go through. By the way, Dave, I mean, FanDuel especially, Coors Field, it doesn't matter who you are. You're automatically up $500. Yeah. You could be the catcher, the backup. You could be Carson Kelly. I don't even know if he's still in the league. And you're going to
Carson Kelly, yeah, sure. He's with Arizona.
Well, there you go. He's probably $500 more because they're playing in Coors Field. So, yeah, they automatically price every single possible person higher than they should be because of Coors Field.
Once again, it's $9 Monday at both Wager Talk and Sports Memo. You can buy every single pick that any handicapper is offering for $9, whether it's 3%, 4%, or 5% top rated play. All the boys have their plays loaded up. I have a 5% play in the NBA, tipping off this evening, my very first NBA play since the bubble started and the NBA restarted. Directly following this show, a good little segue, is the NBA tip-off show with a great crew, and they always bring plenty of laughs. Always so much great betting content right here on Wager Talk TV. I want to remind you, the viewers, to comment below what game you want us to talk about tomorrow. It doesn't matter what game it could be. It could be the worst of the worst or the best of the best. Dave's always picking these selections. We'll grab one from the comments or the consensus one, and we'll choose that. And we'll also give you a little shout out here for being so active in our comment section and leaving us a comment. So we appreciate you all for tuning in. For Matt, for Marco, for Dave, I'm Andrew right here on First Pitch. Thank you for watching Wager Talk TV, and we'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern for First Pitch.